Alright guys, here we go. Customer video, 8 pill, 454, straight 8. Biasing and delay built in, AM mode up here, sideband mode down here. We're going to test it with the 955 that we did a video on not long ago, earlier today, the derail striker 955. It does about 95 watts PEP and 35 to 40 watts average. We've got the peak control turned all the way up, so that's what we'll be testing it with. It's plenty of drive for this amp. You know, you could go a little bit more, but you're basically at the point of diminishing returns. I generally tell people, you know, 120, 125 watts or so PEP or swing going into one of these. Probably around 3 or 4 watts dead key, maybe a little more than that. You know, maybe I'd say 5 to 6 watts. Whatever it takes to put into it. You don't really want to key one of these, you know, 200 watts, you know, maybe a little more. Overall dead key, that's plenty for one. I don't want to run it too hard, but it's set up. It can run sideband or AM. I will say in sideband mode, if you're running a sideband radio, it's going to draw a ton more current, and I'm not talking just 5 or 10 amps. If you run this on AM, you can easily run it on a 100 amp power supply. As I'll show you the current draw, we've got the radio and the amp running off the same power supply, so also keep that in mind. And when we're testing it here, matter of fact, before we do anything, I'll just put this thing off and we'll test what the radio is drawing, so we kind of have a baseline to know how much the amp is actually drawing itself. So this is just the radio, and this is the radio in AM mode. Hello, hello. So it's drawing about 8 amps in AM, and then in sideband, hello, audio. So you're seeing quite a difference there in just the amount of power that the radio is drawing from sideband to AM. So what's that mean? That's going to translate, you know, it's going to amplify that by quite a bit, how much this amp is going to draw in a sideband. So 13 amps in sideband for the radio, and if we get the gain that we're wanting out of the amp, you can say ballpark we're going to be seeing between 120 and 130 amps on sideband. Now that being said, on AM, the radio is drawing about 7 or 8 amps, so we're probably going to expect, what, 80 amps or so on AM. We'll put that all to the test and show you what this thing does. I've got another one of these on order for another customer. This one is for Nick. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but this one is Nick's. And I've been meaning to get a video done on this one. Just been very busy and just getting around to it here. So we'll go ahead and key up. Okay, making sure our dead key is where we want it to be. That's around 200 watts. We'll back it down a little more. It's around 250 actually. Okay, that's about a 200 watt dead key. And this is AM. We're just going to give it an audio on AM, show you what it draws. Hello, audio. Hello. It's drawing more than 40 amps. We know that, right? Hello, audio. Hello, audio. So there you go, around 80 amps. And that's kind of what I was figuring, because our radio was drawing about 7 or 8 amps. Into the amp, amplify that, we're drawing about 80 amps. Now, you can say that the radio is accounting for about 8 amps of that. Let's show you what it does output-wise on AM. We got a 2500 watt slug in there, if you guys can see that. So we're looking at the top scale. The 5 will be 500. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. Showing about 5 and some change. That's about right for one of these. Now, what we want, if we want to, we can turn the power up a little bit and show a little more swing. Hello. You know, 600 watts average just by turning the power up on the radio a little bit, because the way the strikers work, when you increase your dead key, the average power comes up with it. So that's why we were showing more average power when I turned the dead key up. This is PEP. peak power, still looking at the same scale, obviously. Check, check, audio, 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 check, check, audio. That's about 1150 or so. Again, we could put more peak power into it. We're only putting about 95 watts into it and getting well over 10 times what we're putting into it, so getting really good gain out of it. But we could go a little more. We could go 120 watts to get that 1250 watt mark, if that's what you were wanting to see out of it. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go to sideband. So just flip it down. Now we've got a sideband delay. And we'll just leave the power where it's set at on the radio. And this is where things are going to get interesting. We're going to see some pretty good current draw here. So turn the radio to upper sideband. We know the radio does about 90 watts peak on upper sideband. So here we go. Check, check, audio, check, check, audio, check, check, audio, 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 audio. So you can say 125, 126 amps on sideband. Now again, everything draws more power on sideband. We had a radio that was drawing 7 to 8 amps. On sideband it's drawing 13, 14 amps. Amplifier drawing 80 amps total with the radio on AM. On sideband, drawing a lot more. That's just the nature of the beast. And we'll show you the output of it, how much it's doing. Not even really going to show average. We'll just show PEP. 2500 watt slug still. We're back on peak. Top scale. Check, check, audio, 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 check, check, audio. Around 1100 watts. So still showing about the same output, slightly less. But as I showed with the previous video on this radio, the radio actually does slightly less on sideband. So it did like 95 watts on AM, 90 watts PEP on sideband. But that's it. 8-pill 454. She's running good. I don't stay on these too long because my dummy load is 1500 watts. I got to get me a Bird dummy load here. But doing a good job. We'll go back to AM one more time. I'll show you output on it. Well, I got to turn some get off sideband on our radio first. There we go. Hello. There you go. Just talking into it. Radio check, radio check, radio check, radio check. Over 500 average. Again, back to peak. Check, check, audio, 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 check, check, audio. We call it 1150, something like that. And being biased, they always show slightly less PEP. It doesn't matter whether it's 8-pill, 4-pill, 2-pill, whatever. Biased amps, for whatever reason, they show just a little bit less. Well, that's it. This one has already been paid for by Nick. He paid for it earlier this week. And I've been slow to get a video done on it. Had a lot going on. Been pretty busy, so just now getting around to getting a video done, and hope to get this thing shipped out for him today. That's it, guys. 8-pill 454 biasing and delay, tested with a striker done up by D-Rail. You know, if you run a radio that doesn't do as much average power into this thing, then it's going to draw less current. The average power is really what makes them draw so much current. This radio doing 35, 40 watts average. If you had a radio that did like 20 or 25 watts average, you'd be pretty amazed at how much less current they draw. But it's doing a good job, doing what it should. Nice running amp here. All right, guys. Questions, comments, let me know. Shoot me a text, 423-299-3535. Again, before we go, we were testing at 14.5 volts. Rooster in Tennessee. See you, bye.